Okay, so yesterday I have the 3D printed the parts. So I'll just show you. Uh, so let us see that first. Okay. Okay. So I hope you can see right the screen. Can you see the screen? Yeah. Okay. So well, this is the interactive display which we have talked yesterday. Well, this is the interactive display of Ender 3, which is a 3D printer that comes under around $200. Okay, so uh, well, when I start the 3D printer, it will do all the pre-checks and pre-calibration, and then what it does is it will make the printer ready. Okay, so in the bottom you can see it is written Enter 3 ready. So until you get that command, you can't 3D print anything. So first you have to turn on the 3D printer and make sure that the Ender 3 ready is there. Okay, then after that, what we have to do is um, see, as I said, that we have sliced the design. Okay, we have sliced our design in Cura. What I have done is I have exported that G code, the exported file. That G code I will put into the machine by using an SD card. Okay, after that, what I'll do is I will go to my interactive display, and first I have to do is initialize the SD card. So I'll go to initialize SD card, and then I'll go to print from SD card. And there you can see there are different G codes. Okay, so what we have done yesterday was this pen stand. So what I'll do is I'll select that pen stand. Okay, and I'll select this pen stand. Right after I select the pen stand, you can see at the bottom it is written bed heating. So this Ender 3 uses a heated bed, and what happens is the bed will get heated up to about 50 degree. Okay, uh, well, you can see it over here. I hope you can see it. Right there we can see 50 degrees Celsius and 29 degrees Celsius. Okay, the 50-degree indicates that the bed needs to reach the 50-degree mark. Okay, and the 29-degree is the current room temperature. Okay, so right after that, the temperature will rise, and in this image you can see the bed is around 51 degrees Celsius. Its current temperature is 51 degrees Celsius. Okay, and then right after this bed heating, what it will do is it will start the extruder heat. Okay, so Okay, now the extruder heating will start. And you can see the extruder heating, the temperature is rising up over here. Well, this is the current temperature, and the 205 is the preset temperature that it needs to reach before starting the 3D printing. Okay. Okay. Well, you can also see a question mark blinking over there. Let me just annotate it for you. Okay. See right over here. Can you see? Okay, let me just change the color. See over here. Here it is a question mark. Here also, and here also. Well, these are actually the positions of the X, Y, and Z axis. So at, at the initial point, the 3D printer does not know its initial position. So what it does is, after the heating, it will move a little bit until the stop switch will tell its home position. Okay, so let's see how it does. Okay, so you can see here at the bottom, it is now written heating done. Okay, so right now the heating has been done. Now the 3D printer will move to its position. But right now you can see in the X, Y, and Z column, there are the steps. Okay, these are steps, E steps, or well, these are the steps of the stepper motor. Okay, the X position is at 150, Y position is at 94, Z position is at 0.28. Okay, so let's see. Right after heating, what it will do is, see, this is the homing position. Right here is the home position of the 3D printer, and it will go to the center and it will start drawing. Well, this is the same file that we have designed yesterday. Okay, can anyone remember what was the name that we put to our pen stand? Anyone in the chat session? Oh yeah, it was named as Phoenix. Correct. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I hope you can clearly see that. Okay, so this is the finished design. Okay, it took me around it took me around 3.5 hours. Okay, so see, you can see a little name engraved over here. So let me just pick it up for you guys. Okay, so see, you can see our 3D printed design. So we designed it yesterday and 3D printed it. See, it's as simple as it could be. This is just a pen stand. You can also print many different things which are like necessary things at your house. Okay, like you can like say if you want to 3D print a phone stand, okay, or you want to, well, if you have a TPU material or a, let's say some flexible materials like Ninja Flex, you can also 3D print your own phone case, okay, DIY phone case. So, well, that all things we can do with our 3D printer. If you want to like use okay, so if you want to 3D print something other like say like a badge, okay, You can also do that. If you want to make a custom 3D printed any parts, you can do it easily at your home if you have a 3D printer. Well, I'm currently using an Ender 3. It is under $200. It is a very good 3D printer. Okay, so right now what you see in the image is it is a toy. So this toy was the G code for this toy was initially in the SD card, so I just give a 3D print to it. You can see how clearly and how the details are in that toy. See, it's so adorable. So you can also 3D print gifts and photo frames. Well, there's also a thing called as lithophanes also. Well, all these are amazing. So, well, I'm not going into in depth of that. So these all, well, you can 3D print. Okay, so now let me just move back to our presentation. Okay, I hope you can see. Okay. So in day 3, we will be doing some part of the design at the end of this session. Okay, like we did yesterday, I will be going in more detail about the Autodesk Fusion 360 and how to design using some other tools rather than the simple extrude push-pull tools. Okay, so first we are going to talk about the extrusion system, the 3D printer, and then the feeder and the Borden system. We'll focus on hot end, then the nozzle. We'll also learn about the active cooling and the build plate. Okay, so these are the things that we are going to learn today. Okay, so the first one was the extruder. The extrusion system. Okay, so there are different kinds of extrusion system. First of all, okay, so here are the two major extrusion systems. One is the Borden, and the another one is the direct drive. Okay, the Borden extrusion system is mostly used in budget 3D printers. Okay, the Ender 3 uses a Borden extrusion system, and the direct drive extrusion system is used in the costlier ones like the Ultimaker and the Prusa Vent, the Mark III Prusa, and all those kind of 3D printers. Okay, so the difference is that in a Borden setup, okay, let me just bring up the marker over here, the pointer. Okay, in this Borden setup, you can see a box over here. Well, this box is having a gear and a ball bearing. Okay, so what is this gear? This gear is driven by a stepper motor. This gear will grab the filament and push it over the hot end. Okay, it will grab the filament over here and it will push it through this direction to the hot end. This Borden setup is kind of good. The advantages of the Borden setup is that the hot end will be lighter. Okay, there is no weight at the hot end, so it will easy. It is easier to move over any direction for the hot end because it is not having that added weight. Okay, so that's Borden extrusion system. The filament is not directly going like this. there is a PTFE tubing over here. This PTFE tubing will be going from here till the end. Okay. And then we have the direct drive extrusion system. Well, what direct drive extrusion system does is, you can see the position of the stepper motor over the hot end. Okay. In the Borden system, the hot end was having no extra weight, but in the direct drive, there's an extra weight for the hot end. Okay. So here there is the PTFE tubing is not there. I mean, it's only a small amount of PTFE tubing that we need in our direct drive extrusion system when compared to the when compared to the Borden system. Okay, so what are the advantages of having direct drive extrusion system? Well, with the direct drive extrusion system, you can print with any kind of filaments. You can print with the main perks of the direct drive extrusion system is the okay, so the main perk of the direct drive extrusion system is that we can print the flexible filaments. Okay, so well, we cannot. I mean, we can print the Borden extrusion. We can print the flexible filaments in the Borden extrusion system, but it will clog up. Okay, the chances of having a correct print is much less compared to the direct drive system. Okay. Well, the experts always prefer the direct drive extrusion system because it is having much more success rate in the 3D printing industry. But the direct drive system is a bit costly. Okay, so now let's move on to our next. Okay, so next is the feeder and the Borden system. The Borden system, as I mentioned earlier. See, this is the direct drive system of the Ultimaker. You can see there are two fans. Those are the active cooling fans that cools down the print. And okay, so this is the direct drive system. Okay, so let me just show you from where the filament comes. Okay. Okay, so from here, the filament is inserted. Okay, from here, the filament is inserted, and the filament will go down like this. After reaching this point, there you can see there are gears, right? Here, there are gears, and here also there are gears. So what it will do is it will grab the filament. It will grab the filament so hard that the filament cannot move in any direction, and it will just push it down. So as the filament is here, the gears will grab it and it will push the filament downwards, and it will come over here at this end. See, and at this part only it needs the PTFE tubing. Only a small amount of PTFE tubing rather than the Borden system. Okay, so this is how the direct drive system works. Well, this is the stepper motor. Okay, so now this is the Borden system. Okay, so how a Borden system works is, here you can see there is a stepper motor, and what the stepper motor do is it will grab the filament as we saw earlier, and it will push the filament through this PTFE tubing. You can see how long is this PTFE tubing. See, and what happens with the flexible filament is that this in this path, the PTFE path, the flexible filaments can get clogged up. It won't move any. So that's why direct drive is preferred. For any harder elements like PLA, ABS, and all other, we can use this system, the Borden system. Okay, now after coming to this, there is a nozzle, and it will be coming out of the build plate. This is how a Borden system works. Okay, so that was all about the two types of systems, the direct drive and the Borden. Okay, now we have to focus on the hot end. Okay, so this is a hot end. Okay, so as you can see, there are different kinds of hot ends. I mean, these are from the different types of companies. The E3D, well, we know the E3D is one of the famous 3D printing companies. You have this Merlin, Hexagon, and Prusa. Well, the Hexagon name, from the name itself, you can see the design of the hot ends. Okay. Okay, so now, okay, so let me just show you one thing, like how the hot end works. Okay, so let's take a hexagon for for our reference. So here is where I put my filament, right? Right here I put my filament, and then the filament will come through this to this cold zone, to come over here till here. Okay, so when it reaches here, here is a transition zone. This is the transition zone. The small region is the transition zone. This is where our filament will get melted. Okay, till here the cold zone, the filament the filament is in hard state. I mean, it's in the solid state. It's not liquefied yet. And after reaching the transition zone, the filament will be getting liquefied. And after that, it will come to the hot end. And this part is our hot end. Okay, so well, you might assume that why are there holes in these, right? What are these holes? Well, these holes are provided in order to add the temperature sensor. As we see in the video which I just showed you earlier, you can see the temperature, right? You can read the temperature of the extruder and the bed. So in order to read the temperature, the current room temperature or the current temperature of the nozzle, we can push a sensor in this hole. Okay, there are sensors which come to be put here. Okay, so this is how our system works. Okay, the button. Okay, so this is a CAD model of the hot end. Well, you can see this is our PTFE tubing. Okay, so from this PTFE tubing, the filament will come under. It will go to the cold zone. Okay, now you may ask why it is known as cold zone. Okay, so it is known as cold zone because we can see there are fins over here, right? These are fins. And why are these fins given? Well, the mechanical students will know. It is for the cooling, right? This is for the passive cooling. And how it becomes an active cooling is, it will, I mean, these fins will, okay, so what these fins will do is it will cool the body of the body where the filament is there. Okay, so like this is, you can see this hot end will go up to 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, and you know what will be the temperature of this cold zone? This cold zone will be of our room temperature only, and that's because of these fins and the fan provided for the active cooling. Okay, so let's move to our next. Okay, so here you can see in detail about the hot end. Okay, this is a cross-sectional view of the hot end. Okay, so how it works is, here you can see, here is where our filament will come. Okay, a filament will come through here. It will go till here. Okay, till here there will be a PTFE tubing, which I just showed you earlier. The white colored tubing will be coming till here. Okay, and then what will happen is the filament will come down. Okay, when it reaches this region, okay, this particular region, here is the transition zone. We know that in the transition zone, the solid filament will get liquefied. And then what will happen? It will come to the hot end. And at this region, it is very hot. It's around 200 degrees Celsius for the PLA. Okay, and then it will come into the nozzle. This golden part is our nozzle. It will come through the nozzle and then it will come to a build plate. So that's how a hot end works. Okay. Well, the fins which I have told you earlier are known as heat sinks. Okay, these are known as heat sink. It is used in our electronics also, the heat sinks. Okay. Okay, so now you can see there are heating elements and there are thermistor. Well, thermistor is the one which will sense the heat, and there is nozzle. Okay, so these are all about the hot end. This is also okay. Yeah, see here you can see the PTFE tubing also in this diagram. Okay, you can see this is the PTFE tubing and this is the filament. Okay, the filament will come down through the PTFE tubing. Okay, come down through the PTFE tubing, and you can see the PTFE tubing is reaching till the nozzle. It is touching the nozzle, the PTFE. Well, normally the temperature of the melting point of PTFE is around 260 to 270 degrees Celsius. Okay, while using PLA, it will reach only about 200 degrees Celsius. So that's not a thing to worry about. So what will the filament will come through this cold zone, transition zone, and the hot end. It will come out. Okay, so now let's move on to the nozzle. Well, nozzle is a part where it can make or break a 3D printer. Okay, so there are different kinds of nozzles. There are different sizes of nozzles. Okay, see here you can see different size of nozzles. See, we get 0.25, get a 0.25 millimeter, we get a 0.3 millimeter, 0.35, 0.4, 0.6, and 0.8 millimeters. There are also something 1 millimeter of diameter also. Okay, so well, the 0.25 will give us a refined one, a refined print. Okay, and a 0.8 will give us a not that much refined kind of print. Normally, what our 3D printer comes equipped is with the 0.4 mm nozzle. Okay, now we can see that this is this is also 0.4 millimeter nozzle. You can see one thing, that in the nozzle there is a tip which is of crystalline, right? Can anyone guess what that is in the chat session? What that what that thing is? What is that crystalline thing? Anyone? Okay, so let me just tell. So this nozzle is basically a ruby. Okay, we know the ruby crystal. Okay, this end is ruby, and why it is provided is, if we are printing with let's take carbon fiber. If we are printing with carbon fiber, we cannot use the normal brass hot end. I mean the brass nozzle. Why? Because if you're using a 0.4 mm nozzle, if you're using a 0.4 mm nozzle with a brass tip, and if we are using a, let's say, carbon fiber filament, what happens is the carbon fiber will produce some amount of friction as it is having small carbon strings. So what it will do is it will make this 0.4 diameter a bit wider if we are using a normal brass hot end. Now if we are using a ruby hot end like this one, what will happen is this ruby is much harder than the carbon fiber. Okay, I mean it's not that harder, but it will resist the opening of the nozzle. It is much better than using the normal brass nozzle. So that's why we are using ruby. Okay, here you can see the color has been changed. Okay, why is that? Is these nozzles are made up of hardened steel. Okay, these are of hardened steel. Well, these hardened steel cost around 4,000 to 5,000 rupees for the nozzle. It is because it is very hard to manufacture these nozzles. Okay, it's not as easy as the brass because brass is a softer material, but this hardened steel is very hard to manufacture. So that's why the price is also way higher when compared to our normal brass sticks. Okay, here is the cross section of the nozzles. Well, you can see the nozzle here. Well, in these kinds of nozzles, and these nozzles, what happens is the filament is melted in this whole region. In this whole region, the filament will be melted. Okay, and then it will come out from here. Here also the same case. But in this particular one, the filament is melted only in a small region. Basically, that's an advantage of using these kind of nozzles. There will be less thermal runaway. Okay, the hot end will. I mean, see what happens is when we stop a 3D printer, and if there is no retraction, there will be some amount of 3D printing plastic or the PLA, any material that we are using will be deposited over here and it will get harder. Okay, in these kind of nozzles, the problem is that when these metals, I mean when these plastic gets uh, cooled down, then what happens is it will clog the nozzle. Okay, there will be a clogging at the nozzle, at the tip of these nozzles there will be clogging, and we have to remove that clogging. But these kind of nozzles are much less prone to the clogging. Okay, so now let's move to our next. Well, here there are copper, brass, and hardened steel. The brass is the most cheapest and easier to make. The copper alloy is the second hardest, and the hardened steel is the most hardest that we use in our 3D printing. Okay, now coming to the active cooling. Why active cooling is required? Okay, so you can see this is the active cooling. Here there is a fan. What does is it will suck all the air into here. It will suck all the air and it will push that air from these vents. See, and why is it done is because when we put a layer of plastic on our build plate, it needs to be cooled down before another layer. Before putting the another layer. Okay, we have seen this is the layer by layer deposition, right? That's what fused filament deposition is. It's layer by layer. So when we put one layer, that one layer should be cooled enough so that we could put another cool layer over it. Okay, so that's how a active cooling works. Well, here we can see the shape is a bit different. The air will come through here and it will circulate in a circular manner and it will come out from here, from all the directions, right? So it will be having more cooling efficiency. Okay. Okay. So why it is cooled? Because it has the first layer that we put in our bed should be cooled enough before putting the another layer on top of it. Okay, here's another 3D model. Well, here it is using two fans, right? So the advantage of using two fans is better cooling. That's it. See here also we can see a small portion open. See right here. There is only a small amount of portion open. And you can see it is not directed towards the nozzle. These are not directed towards the nozzle. These are directed towards the tip of the nozzle where the filament has been deposited. Okay, if this is the okay, let me just show you one thing. Okay, if this line is what it printed, then these active cooling will cool this layer, and then only the nozzle will go upwards and then print again on the same perimeter. So like that it can stay on top of it. And why is that done? It is done because of the because the layer should stick together, right? So that's why active cooling is provided. Here also you can see the active cooling. Okay, so you might ask a question that why are there two fans and one directed towards the filament and one is directed towards the fins? See right here. Okay, so this fan is for cooling down the filament. You can see okay, it is cooling down these filaments which are already laid down. And I have told you about the cold zone. Which is the cold zone? This is the cold zone. And here the filament should be solid. So as here the temperature will rise up to 200 degrees Celsius. This cold zone must be of 30 degrees Celsius or the room temperature. So what this fan does is it will suck all the air from here and it will go towards these fins, and what will happen, it will cool down. Okay, so next is the build plate. Why do we use a build plate? We all know build plate is the most necessary thing in the 3D printer. That's where what we need to print comes from there, that build plate. There are two types of build plates. Okay, one is a heated bed plate and one is a normal kind of build plate. Heated bed is the most common and the most essential one. Okay, because the heated bed consists, we need a heated bed when we are printing materials like ABS, PTFE, and other plastics, because there will be warping. In PLA, we don't need a heated bed, but for it to stick strongly onto the heated bed, the we need a heated bed. Okay, now how a heated bed works is similar to how a toaster works. Okay, so do anyone know what what kind of filament do we use in our heater, electric heaters and all those? Do anyone have any idea what kind of filament do we use there? We all have studied that. Can anyone in the chat? No, it's not copper. It's not a copper. Yeah, it's nichrome. Exactly, it's nichrome wire. Well, in the heated bed, we use a nichrome wire as it is resistive in nature. So what will happen? It will produce heat. And you can see this layout in the screen. You can see this layout. It is evenly spaced. Okay, it is evenly spaced to provide heating in all the ends. And you can see a small component over here. Can anyone explain what that component is? Anyone in the chat? Can anyone explain what that component is? Okay, so let me tell you. Yeah, it's a thermostat, exactly. It's a thermostat. Well, it's a thermistor. Okay, it's a thermistor. It's an electronic component. It's a uh, it's an electronic component which detects the heat. Well, in the video earlier, which I show you of the 3D printer, we can see that the heated bed was having a before printing, it was having a temperature of room. It was having a room temperature, right? So that room temperature was detected by these thermistors. Okay, so this was all about the today's session for the 3D printing. Now we'll move on to some software, which is the Autodesk Fusion 360. Okay, so let me just open that. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. Well, this is the design which we have designed yesterday. Okay, let me just close the other. Okay, so if you have any doubts regarding the today's session, till now, you can ask me. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, you have there are some. Okay, what about the G codes? Sorry, I didn't get your question. What about the G codes? Do we need to clean the nozzle after each printing? Well, that depends upon the nozzle that you're using. There are some nozzle that requires cleaning right after the printing. The nozzle which I use doesn't require, okay, because there is only a small amount of the material left behind after the 3D printing. which it will get I mean uh, which it will get removed in the next print itself, because there is not much material in the nozzle that I am using. So for me, I don't need to clean the nozzle after each and every print, but maintenance is required. Okay, like monthly monthly a monthly repair, or that is required, a monthly maintenance kind of thing. Okay, so next question is, can we use any other crystal other than the ruby? As of now, there isn't any kind of other crystals available in the market. There is the ruby tipped brass, ruby tipped brass nozzle. Okay, Khadija asked, so which is the cheapest and efficient 3D printer? Well, I've already covered that topic in our first session itself. Um, well, the cheapest and the most efficient. Well, it depends on like in the locality. See, it depends upon where you are living. Basically, if you are in India, then I'll suggest you to go through the Banggood, GearBest, or the AliExpress. Don't go for Indian websites like for Indian websites of Amazon and all those. Well, those are much costlier. So yeah, you can get an Ender 3 Pro also, or a CR10. All those are pretty good and they are pretty cheap. Okay, they are like the most cheapest. But you can also 3D print the 3D printer. That's what RepRap movement was, right? You can use a 3D printer. Uh, we can use a RepRap printer. I mean, we can 3D print the materials that are required for the 3D printer. Well, of course, we cannot 3D print some parts like the motors, the control boards, and the other necessary items like the extruded aluminum parts and all those. Well, I'm suggesting Ender 3 because it is having an extruded aluminum. Okay, it is having a metal frame, and metal frame is the one of the best thing that you can go and buy for a 3D printer, because it is the most sturdiest one when compared to the acrylic versions. Okay, so okay, why is the need of fins? Because we are heating it again. See, why we need fins is because we are using a PTFE tubing. Okay, the I mean the PTFE tubing will melt at higher temperatures, over 260 degrees, around that. And when you go near to the around 200 degrees Celsius itself, the some part of the PTFE tubing will get melted. So that's why we need to use the fins in order to cool down the cold zone. The cold zone needs to be cooled up. Why? Because the PTFE tubing will get destroyed otherwise. Okay. The next question was, why is ruby used over the crystal, and why is it any reasons? Okay. So why ruby is used is because ruby is the ruby is much harder when compared to other crystals, and ruby can have I mean it can tolerate high levels of temperatures. Okay, it won't get any kind of cracks and all those things at higher temperatures. The cost is higher, yeah, but see, either you can use the ruby or either you can use the hardened steel if you need to, if you are worrying about the cost. Yeah, well, why not diamond? Well, that's a kind of sarcastic question. Well, because diamond is much more costlier, so we don't use that. Well, if you have that much money to buy a diamond, then no one will go for a 3D printer, right? You can see that how big was that ruby, and to get that amount of diamond, it's much harder. Okay, so yeah, titanium is also hard. Well, there are titanium nozzles available in the market. You can see them on Google also. There are some titanium nozzles also available. Okay, Mohanraj asked, we need to work for G code or else 3D printing files like STL file having those code. Yeah, we can work on that. Well, in the upcoming days, I'm planning to work on the G code also to explain. Okay, so let's move to our session. Uh, yeah, design session. Well, you can see that in the manufacturer option also, we can generate G codes. Yesterday, I used software known as Cura, which was by Ultimaker. You can also use Fusion 360 for that, okay, not to generate the G codes and all those. Okay, so well, let me just show you how to design something with some other kind of tools. Okay, so let's just design a basic kind of thing that we see in our regular life. Okay, so let's print a nozzle. Okay. Well, Liner Ranjit. Okay, so right now we are using Fusion 360. It's Autodesk software. Okay. Let me just restart the Fusion 360. If you have any other questions, you may ask right now. Yeah, it is free for students, for hobbyists, and all those. Autodesk Fusion 360 is totally free for the education license, and well, it's a more advanced version of Tinkercad. Okay, the Autodesk Fusion 360 is one of the most best software. I mean, the word fusion means it is having design CAM/CAD manufacturing, render, sheet metal, animation, generative design, many more things that even the SolidWorks don't have. That's why I always prefer Autodesk Fusion 360. Okay, so if you are having like if you want to have any kind of like say okay, so if you want to have any kind of let's say designing of any electronic circuits also, you can do it over Fusion 360. There is an Eagle also. Okay, SolidWorks or Fusion 360, which will you prefer? Of course, I will prefer Fusion 360. Okay, because it's the most easier one to study also for any student who is new to CAD. I mean, who is new to computer aided design world. The best thing to go is for Fusion 360 because Fusion 360 is the future now. Okay, you can use Fusion 360 for making any kind of things that you need to. Yeah, we will be able to design any structure using Fusion 360. Well, right now the trending one is the generative design. Okay, in the additive manufacturing, there is one uh, one kind of manufacturing known as generative design, and that's the